Hello and welcome to my presentation. My name is Edward McGlooyan, and I'll be discussing educational technology as it applies to today's classrooms and curriculums. This is for my course TEC 520. Today I'll be discussing how educational technology has changed over the last several years, about 20 years or so, the effects of developing educational technology on societal norms, the utilization of technology as a tool for learning, minimizing distractions caused by technology in the classroom, integrating educational technology into the classroom, and getting started. So how do we determine which technology to use and what types of educational technology should we use, for example, when conducting assessments? I graduated high school in 1994 and then from college in 1999 and went right into teaching after that. So I've been teaching for nearly 20 years, and it's been quite a big change from how technology has evolved since the onset of my career. As you can see in the upper left-hand corner here, I have the traditional overhead projector that used transparencies, and I used vis-a-vis, and so I'm very familiar with this model. And on the right side, we now have what we consider the updated model, or an ELMO, one of many different types of document cameras, and capabilities are endless with this guy. In the 2000s, just after graduating here and at the start of my career, I remember these things vaguely being talked about. Wikipedia, Facebook, YouTube, even iPhones. Those were new in 2007, and Android. So when I was in college, I'll go back to high school. When I was in high school, not a whole lot of educational technology was around. The old TVs were there, the overhead projectors, even just traditional calculators or scientific calculators. So nothing new really changed from when I even started teaching. As I've been teaching, I've been able to make use and explore and experiment with all types of new educational technology. And as we speak, there's always more and more coming out. So adaptive technologies, flipped classrooms, 3D printing, digital textbooks, game-based learning, all of these allow the teacher to create an environment which is much more beneficial to the student, allows the student to really learn at a much greater in-depth level than once was when I was in school. The effects of developing educational technology on societal norms. What was once considered private, let's say private activities or private moments, are no longer private, but societally accepted as public. For example, I like to use is what was considered, let's say, a private moment between you and your kids, or you and your spouse, or you and your sibling. People are very readily, people very readily share these moments with the public on social media sites and with quote unquote their friends. Even for myself, as I don't post anything that has to do with my own family on Facebook, I definitely get tagged a fair amount of times by my friends who are on social media quite often. So as I don't share my own moments, well, my friends do that for me. Technology has a tendency to create its own norms. So as technology evolves, society actually evolves around that. So the idea of moving what private moments to public is an example of that. Another example, just a fun example, is the production of the car. And so what happened with that? Well, laws were made, roads were built, and so society certainly changes around what technology is available. Now, that being said, so does education, and so a positive end to that is classrooms would be isolated to themselves, or no longer isolated to themselves, and students can collaborate with each other from class to class, city to city, even across the globe. So what one teacher is doing and producing in one class, that could easily be shared with kids in another part of the world. So as a benefit, certainly technology has helped the societal norms in education. Google Glasses is just a fun example where certainly the idea of privacy, the issue of privacy is a discussion point where wearing these glasses around town and into movie theaters certainly removes the type of privacy people think they have unknowingly, unfortunately. As you're wearing this, it can easily record and gather data around you, and so that's why these aren't so popular these days. The utilization of technology as a tool for learning. In this, teachers now more than ever are open to integrating technology into their own curriculum. Not all teachers, but certainly more than before. And as teachers either get into the profession at an early age, or like myself, have been in there for 20, 30 years, just understand that technology can be used to the benefit of the experience of the student, regardless of age. Technology also offers a greater flexibility and opportunity for in-depth learning. So, for example, instead of just learning about different parts of the globe in a textbook, we have apps that can take kids around the world. Instead of just learning about biology and chemistry, there's technology there that really allows the students to have an in-depth, not only understanding, but experience and interaction with the content that they're working with. And thing I like is learning should be considered messy, and so what that means is no longer is the teacher a lecturer in front of everybody, but now that teacher creates an environment where kids can feel comfortable to collaborate, work with each other, and yes, noise level may go up, but that is good noise and good constructive noise that may be produced. And on top of messy, we can take that to the next level, where now we're seeing a big movement of STEM and STEAM curriculum and maker spaces into and onto school campuses, where kids can really work with their hands and implement concepts that they've learned and bring those concepts to life with these maker spaces. And choosing and using EdTech tools is a huge part of this, making sure we are using the right educational technology to enhance student learning and tools that will allow the teacher to accomplish their goals versus the vice versa, and instead of shaping goals around what type of educational technology is available. That being said, I've seen the development of technology and the movement of technology into the classroom, and certainly there's a love-hate relationship with this. And so one of the issues I always come across with not only my own experiences, but with other teachers, is minimizing distractions caused by technology in the classroom. Cell phones, for example, and iPads, and even if a teacher has the kids, let's say the school provides iPads, for the kids, how do we minimize those distractions? So there's a few ways we can go about, and one of them is certainly set the tone at the start of the year. Make sure you go over your rules and regulations, and it may not be fun, but it's something that is a necessary process for each teacher. So day one, review policies, remain consistent, go over the consequences, and really, and most importantly, make sure that you follow through with those consequences. I know many schools do this, and one of the schools I was at also did this, and that was mobile device management. So every student was required to bring to school their own Apple device, namely an iPad, but once they got onto campus, their iPad linked into our network, and we were able to somewhat control their devices. And that being said, for example, what apps they have access to, what websites they have access to. If we're looking to do an activity in class, they can only access that one application at a time. So there is that, I guess what you would refer to as controlling ethically controlling their devices, I guess you can say. And the last thing, and really I would say the most efficient way to minimize distractions, is just to make sure your curriculum is fun and engaging, and it really holds the attention of the kids. And so make their learning relevant to what they're doing in the world and in the class. And that usually does a great job. integrating educational technology, selecting technology that supports curriculum goals. Make sure that if you're looking to implement technology into a curriculum, that we are looking at goals first and then technology, and not the other way around. Also, provide lots of professional development for teachers. So once you get technology or educational technology, make sure teachers have the right professional development. Otherwise, it just will be a waste of time and money. So focus on the needs of the instructors. Make sure you talk to them, see what they need. Make professional development fun and relevant to what they're doing. For example, if you're running a PD, make sure that they're working on their own curriculum and not just something that they're not going to be, nothing generic. And then provide ongoing opportunities and make sure they're provided during school hours instead of after school hours. So don't put the learning on them, but put it on the school or on the one in charge of professional development. And lastly, make sure we have a dedicated educational staff member for support. A lot of teachers will want to do stuff, but they're just limited by time and energy. And so by having that extra support, somebody who can do the research for them or teach them how to use certain apps will certainly motivate them and support them and excite them to use educational technology in their own curriculum. So how do we get started? First of all, you have to consider a few things. Consider student achievement goals, budget considerations, equitable access. Do students have access to these things at home, let's say? Classroom conditions. The conditions of the classroom need to change if we want to implement different types of technology such as smart boards. And sustainability. Is there an ongoing cost? Is it a cost that this school can provide? Budget considerations. Jumping back to budget considerations. But is the technology a one-time purchase, or is it an ongoing purchase, or how much maintenance is involved? So there's a lot of things to consider before taking on new technology. But once you have that technology, for example, apps, what do you do with it? I guess I'll focus my attention towards the type of assessments out there. And, there's many apps to choose from. Some are free, some are paid for. A lot of them will provide, there are many apps out there, I should say, that can provide formative assessments, some summative, but mostly formative. So if we're talking about formative assessments, what's the form of the formative assessment? Is it game-based? Is it competition-based? Is it play-based? Are they building something? So the most important thing is to look at these things. And lastly, what's required by the teacher? What kind of technology is required by the teacher? And what kind of technology is required by the students? Do the students need an iPad? Do they just need a computer? Do they need a smartphone? One of my favorite forms of formative assessment is using Plickers, which simply requires the teacher to have a computer, a smartphone, and the kids just need cards. And they can lift those cards up to share their answers with the teacher, and the smartphone will scan it. So thank you for listening to my presentation. These are my references, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.